catalyst for this parental rights movement. Joining us now on stage is January Littlejohn, the mom whose lawsuit kind of served as the catalyst for this parental rights movement, and Tina Desachevich, who's the co-founder of Moms for Liberty. January, tell us what happened with your teenage child that kicked this all off.
Sure. The pandemic was hard on many adolescents, and at the height of the pandemic, our daughter came and told us that she was confused about her sex. This is becoming more and more common, and this was after 3 of her friends in her in-person peer group at school also had come out as transgender. And so after many weeks of school had just started, my daughter got in the car and said, "Mom, I had a meeting with 3 school officials, and they asked me which restroom I wanted to use." I immediately called the school and was told I cannot be given any information about the meeting because my daughter was now protected by a non-discrimination law, essentially protected from me. They presume me to be a danger to my child.
So you're the danger to the child, and they're what many are calling grooming the child. We have an update apparently from your lawyer who's in the crowd. Where is he?
Right here.
Right here.
Tell us.
Sure. So after we filed our lawsuit, predictably, the school district filed a motion to dismiss. We have filed an opposition to that, and we're waiting on the ruling. But what's more important is that we are hearing the same exact MO of excluding and deceiving parents, exactly what we heard here, from parents literally around the country. But the good news is that parents are fighting back, and they're filing lawsuits in states all around the country. And here in Florida, Governor, not only are parents protected by the United States Constitution, but they're protected by the Parent Bill of Rights and the Parents' Rights and Education Law that you signed into law. Thank you.
It all reminds me of when you go to the pediatrician and then the pediatrician says, "Oh, can you step out of the room?" When you're with your child, and they're like, "Yeah, no, we're not doing that." And they just assume that parents will say, "Oh yeah, you can take my child. You can talk to my child outside my presence." No. Now, Tina, I want you to listen to Biden's disturbing remarks on whom he believes your kids belong to.
We always talk about these children. They're not someone else's children. They're our children. They're all our children. They're not somebody else's children. They're like yours when they're in the classroom.
Tina. They're not yours when they're in the classroom, apparently. They're the education establishments, a.k.a. the teachers' unions. Your reaction to that, the President of the United States on parental rights.
Laura, it's outrageous. I gave birth to my children. I carried them in my womb. I changed their diapers. I nursed them. They are my children. Every mother knows that it's their children. It is unacceptable that President Biden or anybody in the teachers union or anyone else would say that they are collectively someone else's child or collectively their children. They're a group, they're part of the community.
It's a giant commune of an education establishment. And by the way, Biden wasn't done with that because, Governor, he appeared to kind of take a pot shot at you yesterday. Check it out.
Today, there are too many politicians trying to score political points, trying to ban books, even math books. Do you ever think when you be teaching, you're going to be worrying about book burnings and banning books? All because it doesn't fit somebody's political agenda. We got to stop making the target of the culture wars.
Governor, they loved the culture wars when they were kicking God out of the classroom, but suddenly they're upset because I guess you didn't want political indoctrination in something as simple as a math textbook. Talk about that.
Well, we draw a very strong line in Florida. We want education. We do not want indoctrination. And that means and the reason why we believe that is because the parents have a fundamental role in the upbringing and the education and well-being of their kids. And I think Biden and his folks believe you send them to school, butt out, and the school's job is to indoctrinate what they think your kid should learn or what your kid should believe. And so this is a huge debate in our country. It's sad that it is. Why would you not want parents involved? But they don't want parents involved because they know that will represent an obstacle to them indoctrinating them the way they want to do that.
Well, January, what you hear from the so-called mainstream media is that this is an attack on children, on children who identify differently, and that this is a mean-spirited piece of legislation, whether it's the parental rights bill or any of the textbooks, and they try to turn it against, I think, moms and dads of all political persuasions who just reading, writing, and arithmetic, some history would be nice, that's fair, but it's an attack on children. Your reaction to that?
That's absolutely false. This is about protecting children because it is so critical to have parents involved in every aspect of a child's education. They have carved out this caveat to presume parents to be an enemy, but only in this one area. And it's ridiculous, and it's a false narrative being used to drive a wedge in between the parent-child relationship. This is fundamentally about protecting children and making sure parents are not cut out of critical decisions being made at schools without them knowing.
Well, I know, Governor, you did the bill about, K or pre-K through 3. Why just stop at 3? That's my question.
Well, it does. And I mean, it says anything above that's got to be developmentally and age appropriate. So the Florida Department of Education will be putting some meat on the bones on that.
Would you be potentially looking at limitations
well, here's the thing. I mean, things like woke gender ideology have no place in the schools, period.
That's what my point is.
I mean, if you want woke gender ideology, then go to Oberlin or Berkeley or something like that. But it's just not appropriate. We got to do math and science and reading and all this. But what we also did, in addition to parents' rights to education, we did curriculum transparency in Florida. Every parent has the right to know what is being taught in the books that are being used. And they have a right to protest if they don't follow state standards.
They don't want the parents to know what's going on.
Well, because they want math textbooks that have leftist ideology in the math. It's like, math is math, okay? It's not about your feelings. It's not about all these other extraneous things. And we have to keep our eye on the prize here.
Well, I have to attend to my feelings of my sponsors. Thank you, January and Tina.